I have the honor of doing a panel with Alex Lee today, who's into Ji-Woo Sung and a couple other great people. So give Alex a big round of applause, guys. Welcome him to the stage. That works for me.
We'll get a little closer.
Oh, that works. All right, welcome, man. I'm, for one, really excited to get to sit down and chat with you. Been a fan of your stuff for a while, so I hope the weekend's been going well. How's it going so far?
It's crazy. Thanks for coming out today, guys. How are you doing? You having a good time? Good.
How's the line been? You getting to interact with some fans?
Yeah. No, it's nuts. It's again, it's really crazy. So
yeah, I know you did WeebCon last weekend, and then left to go record.
Yeah.
And then came back here, and then you're going to be leaving to go record
again. Yep.
What's that like? This is kind of a new thing that I feel like is happening with anime, where episodes are coming out so fast after, so quickly after the news, you're recording and it's almost coming out right away. What is that? Is that like really difficult? Is it super stressful? How does that work for you as the man leading the voices and doing all that work?
It is a little bit different than it used to be, because back then you would like record the whole series or like batches, but nowadays, anytime they get material from Japan, we basically have to get on it immediately. So it's like, if you see a show coming out, I probably recorded it 2 days before it came.
Wow.
So it's a very tight deadline.
That's what I was about to ask, because I know your Ji-Woo Sung in Solo Leveling, which episode 11 of the English version just came out today? Yesterday. Today's Sunday, not Saturday. So you recorded that this past week?
Yeah, literally like 2 days before I got here.
That is so wild.
It's pretty fast. We got to be on our toes all the time.
That is so wild. So when you guys are watching a newer episode of a show that's really, really popular, it's very likely that those dubs were recorded, at most a week before that. That's really cool, man. That's very interesting. So I am a huge fan of Solo Leveling, also a huge fan of Demon Slayer. So you have, great roles in both of those. I don't know if anybody out here has watched Mashal, but I love Mashal. That's hilarious fun. I didn't even realize that you were MASH until I started watching. I was like, oh, he's MASH as well. What's it like being, a lead role in 3 of the, more popular new anime that are out right now?
It's very busy.
I
have no free time. I have like a huge backlog of stuff that I wanted to get through, like anime, shows, video games. I bought a bunch of games I wanted to play this year. I haven't had time to play any of them, because these shows are so fast and they're like weekly and all that stuff. Basically, I record and then I go out to conventions and I meet fans and then I go home and I sleep, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, but it's amazing though. All these shows are really fun to work on, and when I come out here and I get to meet everybody and I get to talk to you guys, it's really rewarding for me to get to hear that everyone enjoys like what they're seeing. It feels like it was worth it.
Dude, that's really cool. I know, talking about, your fans enjoying your work, I remember when the trailer and all the information for the English VA of Solo Leveling came out, and we found out who all the voice actors were going to be and everything, and I saw that it was you, there was going to be Ji-Woo. It's like, oh, this is great, because he can actually, I feel like he could do Ji-Woo justice, so I was actually excited about that. What's that been like for you, voicing this character? Did you know a lot about Solo Leveling ahead of time? Has it been fun? Obviously it's been challenging. I'm just curious about your perspective on that.
I've always been a fan of the source material, and as a voice actor, it's like you're never guaranteed a role. It's you have to audition for everything you do. So for me, around last year at Anime Expo, they had a big promotion for Solo Leveling, and I hadn't gotten the role yet. But as an actor, you can't get attached to anything, any property, because if you get too attached and then you don't get the role, you're going to be very sad. So for me, last year when I was walking around Anime Expo, I saw people have these like Solo Leveling tote bags, and all I could do was walk past and be like, oh, that's cool. That looks like a cool show. That's it.
That could be really, really fun.
That could be sure. Yeah. But you can't think anything else. You can just be like, that's a cool show, and then you just walk and move on. But when I found out, it was like, oh, okay, now I can get invested. Now I can be more than just a fan. Now I can actually like sink my teeth into the material. But for the most part, you just kind of have to be like, oh, it's another show. Awesome.
So one of the things that I like about your method is you interact with your fans a lot via your social media. You actually will respond to us in way, you'll see things in comments and stuff like that. So you, if I'm remembering correctly, because I've watched it all in Japanese, you've done your first Arise.
Not yet. Next week.
That's 12, not 11. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember exactly if it was right at the end of 11 or right around the beginning of 12.
It's near the end of 12.
Have you been practicing it? I'm sure you can't see it. I'm not going to ask you to. I'm just curious.
I mean, practicing as in a sense where, yeah, we've done a lot of passes on it to see what sounds good, and we're experimenting with a lot, and we're going to try to make it sound as best as we could.
I think you'll do great. It's going to be a cool. It's going to be cool. It's a great moment in the story, and I think you'll do good. And one of the things that I think is so interesting about that role, and then we can even talk about Zenitsu a little bit, is the dynamic vocal range for Zenitsu. Is such a departation from who Ginu is, really. And you even have a lot of different ways you have to voice Zenitsu. And then Ginu is clearly going through this evolution as a character, so his voice changed subtly over the first season.
I recorded for Demon Slayer Zenitsu when I was like 20, 19 or 20. So back then I hadn't fully hit my second puberty yet. So my voice was very, very high. And then when I was around like 20 or 21, 22, I hit my second puberty, as I like to call it, and my voice dropped a lot lower. So when I was working on Solo Leveling and we got to do Ginu when he was younger, as he, progressively got bigger and more buff, it was like kind of like revisiting, because it's been many, many years since I hit a voice high like that, and then it was cool to kind of like drop the pitch as we progressively continue with the story. So it's kind of like revisiting past roles in a way, in a rewarding way.
So you got Zenitsu at the perfect timing, basically.
Basically, that was the last year that my voice stayed that high naturally. So.
Awesome. You actually have a pretty impressive cast of some of the different things that you've done. I was looking over at your booth at all the different voices that you made. I believe you're in your 20s. You make me feel old. I feel like an old man sitting down there.
Well, on Google it says I'm 36 for some reason. I have no idea who put it there. Yeah, if you Google my name, it says that I'm 36 years old. And I've had a lot of fans come up to me at conventions and they're like, how do you look so young for 36? I'm like, you're not going to believe this. I'm not. And they're like, no, I don't believe you. On Google, it also says that I have 2 dogs. I have 2 cats. So I don't know who's putting that information up there, but
it must have to do
maybe they're a little confused. Maybe a little bit.
It must have to do with Wikipedia, how anybody can put anything on Wikipedia. That's really
this is the most like interesting part, is that for some reason, like, I get it, 2 dogs, 2 cats, sure, but then somebody put my middle name as Walter.
Walter.
I'm like, where did they get Walter from? When have I ever said that my middle name is Walter? So it's, people have a lot of fun on Google, I guess.
That's funny, man. That's funny. So I'll have a question for you. While I ask this question, we have about 5-10 minutes. If anybody wants to ask a question to Alex, we can make a line. Probably 5 or 6 people right here. Go ahead and file forward, get in line, and we'll go into some Q&A right now after this question. But so out of all the roles that you've done, you've had a pretty impressive career so far. What is the most, I don't even want to say favorite, you put everything into all your roles, but what's been the one that's been the most memorable to you so far?
That's hard. That is favorite.
Well, I mean, you can have something be memorable because it was challenging, but maybe it wasn't, your absolute favorite character, from the source material.
I mean, I have a lot of favorites because a lot of roles mean different things to me. But I guess the one that's been for the longest role is Demon Slayer for sure, because I've been doing that for almost 5 years now. Sure. And I've done a lot of things with the Demon Slayer production team. Like, we've traveled the world, we've done all this crazy stuff. So I think we've done the most with that. So there are a lot of memories linked to that show. But different shows and different properties have different core memories for me based on the process. But that one's definitely been the longest one.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Okay, we'll take a couple questions. If you would step forward to the mic and speak right into the microphone so we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Yubia, and my nickname is Wrinkly. I've been a major fan of Persona 3 Reload ever since you were announced as voice actor Makoto Yuki. I have two questions. First, what is some sort of voice acting advice would you like to give? Because I'm also a fan voice actor. And second, there's a friend of mine who's doing some sort of persona project, and I would like to tell you to thank, give him a message that to continue. Yeah.
Yeah, so tell your friend I said hello and tell them to keep going and keep working on it.
He's
Okay?
also voices Makoto Yuki in that project.
Nice. And as for voice acting advice, I get this a lot. A lot of people come up to my table and they're like, what changed for you? What made you want to pursue voice acting? And I've always just told them I was bored one day, I guess. So back then I didn't have a lot of money for classes and stuff like that, or like any friends who were in the industry that could teach me. But I found all of my information on like Google. The internet is a great means as a resource nowadays because there's so many different people online that are putting their experience there. So
And confirm.
yeah, so when you go online, you can find everything you need to know about how to be a voice actor and like all the actual processes and stuff like that. It's like if you just sink in enough time, then I'm sure people will figure it out. But everybody learns a different way. You know? But thank you for your question.
Thank you very much, Alex Lee.
Take care.
Good
Okay.
question. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi again, Alex. So I have a question about Street Fighter, and just kind of like when Luke was first announced for Street Fighter V as a final DLC character, and he had negative reception, was that very discouraging for you compared to like how much people love him in 6 now?
So who here knows Street Fighter or Street Fighter 6 and stuff like that? Okay. So when I was announced for Street Fighter, initially the reception for this new character was like very, very negative because he was a very cocky character. He was shirtless, he had like tattoos on, and people were like, this isn't Street Fighter. And to be honest, you know, it wasn't the first time that I had seen this design because Street Fighter, Luke was created for 6 at first, but he was introduced at 5, so they redesigned him. And when I saw it for the first time, I was also like, oh no, he's a little ugly. So everybody online was like, man, he's really ugly. And I'm like, well, I can't say anything for like probably another year or two. But when negative reception and stuff like that happens, you know, you just kind of have to deal with it and just have fun. Because despite what people tell you or what they say about your work or, you know, whatever you put into that specific project, it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you know? Like, when am I ever going to get a chance to voice or be in Street Fighter again? So regardless of what other people may think at the time, I was still having fun with it because it was like a special role to me and it was a special franchise to me. So I was like, you know, I'm still gonna have my fun. And then eventually people turned around and now they love him. So it's like the more you have fun, the more people are gonna catch on and they're like, you know what, I wanna have fun too. So that's always been my mentality and stuff like that. So that's a good question though. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please keep working with me. He's so good at them.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm Jorge. I wanted to know about your reaction when they called you to play Makoto in Persona 3.
Oh yeah, so for Persona, who here knows Persona actually? Okay, a good chunk of people. For Persona, when they auditioned for Persona Reload, I initially wasn't sure what it was for, but Zeno, who voices Junpei, told me that, oh, this is Persona. And I was like, cool. But like I was talking about earlier, when you work in this line, you get very tired because you do a lot of things all the time. I was just like super burnt out and very, very like dead. So when I got home and I saw the auditions, I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm too tired. And then so I didn't do it at first. And then Zeno was like, you really should do it. So I was like, yeah, I guess I really should do it. So there were like 6 or 7 characters that were up for audition, but because I was so tired, I was like, I'm just gonna read for the main character. If I get it, I get it. And if I don't, oh well. And so I submitted just that one audition, and then luckily enough, they liked me enough where they were like, yeah, go on ahead, come on in and do it. So I was pretty stoked for that. But yeah, so you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Moral of the story. But thank you.
Good. Fun asking you these questions. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
My question to you is, my name is Mia. My question is, what was your favorite scene to voice record like for Mikey from Tokyo Revengers.
Or Mikey from Tokyo Revengers. Yeah, that show gets really, really dark later on.
Yeah.
So my favorite scenes were when they were still having fun with the gang, you know, like all the comic relief and stuff like that, and those were definitely my favorite moments for sure. But I do miss when they were just goofing around. Shows often get dark and I'm like, damn, this is, I think everybody came up to me and they're like, I'm really sad. I'm like, me too. Maybe stop watching the show for a little bit until you feel better. But thank you for your question.
Of course, yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for the questions. Alex, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to hang out with us.
Yeah.
If y'all haven't met him or you want a chance, he is signing autographs and doing pictures and stuff back there. Go get in his line. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.